Hi, my name's Simon Baker and I'm the Executive Chairman of Online Marketplaces Group. I recently had the pleasure of chatting with Simon Bray, the CEO of REW in Vancouver, Canada. During the discussion, we talked about the impact of the coronavirus on his customers, the changes that they are making to how they do business, the new products and services that he's working on, and what the future is going to look like, not only for him as a marketplace, but also for his customers. We started off the conversation by understanding what is happening to Canadian real estate agents.
Well, it's worse than it looks on the portal. That's the one thing. I think when you actually ask agents what the business is looking like for them, you see that the impact to them has been more immediate and bigger impact than we expected. So, I mean, one interesting question we asked was just, how do you think that this crisis is going to impact the viability of your business in the short term and the long term? So, are you if this continues, is your business going to be around in a few weeks, few months time? And a staggering 80% of them said that it's going to have a material impact on their business viability. Wow. So 40% of them said short term, if this carries on short term, we're dead. And 40% said long term, the game has completely changed, and it's kind of adapt or die time. So yeah, 80%. So it's having a big impact, at least psychologically, on agents and our customers. So now is really a moment for us to figure out, what does the world look like after this? Does it go back to some sense of normalcy, or is there a completely new set of rules that we have to adapt to?
Are the agents seeing a dramatic drop-off in sales, in rentals, in income already, or are they expecting it to come?
Yeah, so the expectations, because we did it, we looked at both the current situation and their expected situation, and in a number of instances, they actually are feeling the current impact quite significantly, and their expectations are better than the current situation. So they're still quite optimistic that it's going to improve, but the current impact, they say, is quite significant. So about 40% of the agents that responded said that they had clients remove their listings from the market in the last 2-3 weeks. So I think that's a big indicator for an agent. Canada is an interesting market for me, having worked in a bunch of different markets around the world. This is the first one where I've seen this exclusive listing market, where a listing is with only one agent. There's not open mandates or multi-listings or any of that here. And so agents have relatively few listings. Even the good agents are going to be sitting on maybe 5 or 6 listings at a time. And so if they lose 3 of those, they're staring down the barrel of a big impact to their business. So that's the one thing, is a lot of listings being removed from the market voluntarily by the sellers. And then the other impact is sales. And so we asked, have you had any sales fall through because of the crisis? And again, about half of them said yes, they'd had some sales fall through, and then it was a relative scale. Some saying we've had 1 fall through, 2, 3, but they have seen some impact to their sales. So looking on both ends, their input and their output, they're having an impact already.
The secondary question is, how long do you think this is going to go for in your market?
Yeah, so interestingly, I think, we're of the mindset that, the crisis is probably going to have some direct impact for the next 6 months or so. I was Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, has been doing a great job of communicating with the Canadian people, and he does it on a daily basis. And he kind of sets expectations for what the government is thinking around social distancing and the behavioral changes that they expect. And he's creating that expectation that this is probably all the way through the Northern Hemisphere summer and perhaps into fall. So it kind of gives us the 6-month window. And then the recovery, well, who knows how quick it will be. January and February, at least on the west side of Canada, where we are particularly strong, were the two best months in the last few years in terms of sales and interest level in property and the activity in the market. So does it rebound quickly to that level, or does it take longer? I think in some respect it has to do with how bad it gets in the markets that we work in. At the moment, we're seeing some rebound in terms of traffic and leads and inquiries from the dark days at the end of March, but it's difficult to tell what the impact is going to be, how long it's going to run for.
What do you do from a business perspective, right? You're looking at the impact it's having on your business. What are there actions that you actually take to dampen the impact?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like any business, we want to make sure that cash flow remains as healthy as possible, and we can continue doing the things that we were doing anyway from a strategic and kind of planning perspective. But the world has fundamentally changed, and it's fundamentally changed for us as well. So we had to make some decisions a couple of weeks ago already in terms of cutting certain projects and cutting costs, building into the business a real kind of lean operating model, very focused on a couple of key outcomes, and so we've had to react quite quickly to what we expected the market to look like. I must say, so far the impact hasn't been that significant yet on customer cancellations or revenue or changes that affect our business on a material level. And I think there might be the silver lining. Certainly in our market, there was still a good spread of spend from the real estate industry across print and traditional offline media, bus shelters and signage and all sorts of things, and digital. So we weren't sitting in a highly exposed space where all of the revenue had already moved to digital. Yep. Here, at least the initial feedback from our survey of customers is that they are going to focus more on their digital marketing channels, which is the silver lining, if you like. And I think a lot of portals are trying to pull that thread right now, is to say, you need us more than ever because your customers actually can't get to you in the traditional manner. They need to get to you online. They need to see your listings online. They need to do video tours with you instead of face-to-face viewings. So I guess we're trying to gear the business for that more digital interaction. I mean, we were already there because we obviously a digital platform, but a lot of the things that maybe we had planned for the future, we need to just bring forward and really accelerate some of those plans.
Yep. What's the world of your customer going to look like in the future from your perspective?
Well, it's a really interesting question because the established realtor industry in Canada is very, very strong. They've got very strong pillars to the industry. The MLS systems that they've been using for decades, the software that feeds into those MLSs, big sites like realtor.ca that are propped up by these MLSs, and so this infrastructure exists around the agent industry. So I don't think the agent industry is going to be significantly disrupted. At least you could look in some markets and say maybe agents go away entirely because it's just going to be such a difficult period to operate in buying and selling homes. But in this market, I think you will see some attrition to the number of agents. I mean, you just can't support the number of agents that are in the market today because of this unique buying and selling agent environment in Canada. You usually have a proliferation of agents. You have far more agents than you have listings in the market, which is a fascinating kind of environment. So I think you'll see a lot fewer agents, a lot more professional and a lot more digitally orientated. I mean, this whole idea of work from home, I think that's going to be the biggest impact to this crisis. Already our staff have been working from home for a month. If this goes on for another 2 or 3 months, there's just no ways we're going to get the guys to come back to the office. It's like, why would we work from an office? And I think the same is going to happen with agents and how they relate to consumers. Is why would I, come to an open house, or why would I get in my car and drive around to 5 different listings in a day to try and meet with agents and do it the hard way, when I have an expectation that I can do it online, or I can do it through video conferencing like this, or you should be producing virtual tours and 3D walkthroughs and floor plans around every listing so I can see them online. So I think the way that it's going to impact the customer is that they're going to have to be far more digitally savvy, and that may change the mix of which agents are doing business and which agents aren't doing business. I think that's probably the biggest impact, is the work from home societal shift that we're going to see, and how that impacts the way agents are called upon to do business.
And then internally, how do you think about changing the way you operate?
Yeah, we've had to adapt very quickly. I think just like any other company, we've had to jump into strategies that up until now we'd used very infrequently. Video calls and Slack channels being open all the time, and online chats, and using all of the collaborative tools around how we do our planning and our reporting. All of a sudden, those got thrust into the everyday and always on kind of category. So that change has been forced upon us. People responded really well, and I think actually in some of our teams, productivity has already increased. The great thing about this digital environment is a lot more is tracked and reported, and so you can have a good eye on productivity. I think the piece that we haven't yet seen is the impact to the culture, the impact to the interaction between people. You can only do so much on a group Zoom call to test how everybody's doing and how everybody is remaining connected to the vision or the purpose of the company. So I think that one's going to be a little bit interesting to see how that plays out. But operationally, yeah, we're already working 100% remote, and I expect that will now become not just a little part of what we do, but a big part of what we do in the future, for sure. Because work from home means a fundamental shift in how we transact in real estate. And so that's what we're trying to prepare for. I don't know exactly what it looks like. I think it certainly means a lot more immersive content online. A lot of what we got excited about 10 years ago, because it was just a natural evolution of a property portal, was to bring this content online. We stopped doing it because there wasn't enough engagement from the consumer to prompt the agent and the industry to respond. But now I think the consumer is going to demand that type of content be put online. And so, real estate agents have already gotten pretty good because they compete with one another for sales mandates. So they've gotten pretty good at, HD photography and video and virtual tours and, Matterport and other technologies to visualize homes. But when you look at other categories, like the new development category, as an example, that's one that definitely has to improve the type of collateral they bring to the market online. They've relied far too much on kind of show homes or presentation centers or, offline medium to drive interest. I think they're going to have to bring a lot more immersive content about the projects onto platforms like ours. I think rentals is going to be a great space to play in if you're a property marketplace, because it's going to be less affected. But home buying, you could almost see it slowing down to a significant degree for a long period of time.
Yeah, I think where we'll end up is rentals will be a fantastic place, driven by a couple of things. One is driven by demand, because people go out of work, people have their salaries reduced, and so on, right? So they've got to move from owning to renting, or
and
downsize.
their criteria for a home just changed. You know, I
Oh,
read
yeah.
some great articles, and it's like, it's kind of a soundbite that's going around, but this idea that home has never meant as much as it does now. And it's
Yes.
true. You know, the home is now your office, your gym, your home. It's everything all in one. And I think that's going to drive a lot of rental decisions.
Yeah. Anyway, Simon, thank you very much for chatting.